Okay. Hi, my name is Rambo Durrani, and the case study that I picked for my IESS course was the Indigenous people and the artificial intelligence. The reason I picked this case study is because I found it really interesting how we can connect the past to the future. And there are many limitations of doing that using artificial intelligence. And today we're going to be talking about many different discussions and see how we can solve them as we move forward. So before we start off with any discussions, we're going to talk about who the stakeholders of this case study are. The first stakeholder is Celine Herwager. She's a partner in the PwC of the UK, and she's an innovation and sustainability leader. The second stakeholder of this case study is Dominic Woogre. He's the head of public-private partnership and member of the executive committee of the World Economic Forum. He holds most of the information that is presented throughout this case study. Okay, let's talk about what their goals are for the future. They're hoping to use AI to create an Earth-friendly AI system that aims to decrease commonly discussed risks such as bias, poor decision making, low transparency, job losses, and malevolent uses of AI. They also plan to add AI to everyday machinery at a slow pace to be able to see the impact on every little thing. Now let's start off with the first discussion. Would AI help bring in the perspective of indigenous environmental values? Now, artificial intelligence is the intelligence that is exhibited by humans that can be replicated through machines. A problem with this is that any robotized machine would not have any emotions towards any subject or situation and will do what it is programmed to do. These implications could cost the world a understanding of deep and sympathetic issues that would need to be analyzed. Anyways, so the first discussion is, would AI help bring in the perspective of indigenous environmental values? Artificial intelligence is the intelligence that is exhibited by humans that can be replicated through machines. A problem with this is that any robotized machine would not have any emotions toward any subject or situation and will do what it is programmed to do. These implications could cost the world a deep understanding of sympathetic issues that will be needed to analyze different issues in the world. At the end of the day, these machines are programmed to do what humans want. The people who design these machines can program them to perform tasks that are ultimately beneficial to the world. This includes bringing perspective onto indigenous environmental issues. Now, the second discussion is, how would AI epistemology encompass the cultural significance? AI knowledge could lead us to program AI systems to put aside many cultural problems. These problems could include racism, sexism, and homophobia. AI would be able to see people as just people unless they are programmed otherwise. In the world we live in now, these issues are being put aside, and so will the programmability of the AI machines. These advancements could lead to a better world and provide more peace to communities in many parts of the world. This example is just a small portion of what could be done to help cultural problems be put aside. Discussion 3. Could AI help stabilize the environment? Obviously, AI could be programmed to do many things. In the future, when we have fully functioning machines that act upon what we provide them with, we could use them to contribute to many environmental issues. Examples include planting trees, analyzing issues in the populations of an ecosystem, predicting migratory routes, and to analyze vector-borne diseases. The figure above provides many more examples as to what AI could do for our environment. Now, looking at this figure, we can see what the AI that is programmed to do could do for our environment. First could be climate change, and it could help provide clean power, and it could help provide smart transport options, and it is a sustainable, and it could do sustainable production and consumption, etc. It could also help with the biodiversity and conservation of many species. It could also help us have a healthier ocean by helping fish sustainability and preventing pollution and protecting habitats, etc. AI also provides water security to us. It could be programmed to initialize a series of autonomous water filtrations, and it could help with drought planning as well. It could also help us have clean air by filtering, and it could also monitor the air and prevent it. It could also monitor weather and disasters using forecasting. Discussion 4. How could AI assist in bridging Indigenous people and scientists? AI could be used to access and obtain data that could be used, to make Indigenous people and scientists see eye to eye. Being able to provide data could potentially lead the two groups of people to work on many projects together to better the economy and ecosystem around them. A challenge with this method is that AI could not understand Indigenous people on an emotional level, which could introduce a different spectrum of limitations to the functionality of AI systems. Moving on to discussion 5. What other technological advancements could save the environment, if any? Now, to be honest, I spoke about this in my ERSC assignment, and it seems like a very interesting topic on how we can decrease global warming. So let's start off. Technological advancements of electrified building industries and car industries would be a significant step towards saving the environment, more specifically, global warming. All combusted and motorized systems would be electrified, therefore decreasing population. The decreased population would have a huge effect on the decrease of global climate throughout the years coming. Additionally, car companies have already been producing hybrid cars and electric cars that have less impact on the environment. The future of transport and the building industry is electrified systems of motorized vehicles and building industries. Could AI create sustainable food systems? AI could be programmed to create autonomous food systems that could be farmed at the perfect rate. Humans would have to program these machines to continuously farm and plant different types of food at a fast rate. These AI systems could also predict the demand of certain types of crops and produce based on that. To take an additional step, these food sources can be automatically delivered to warehouses or even people's backyards daily to decrease the use of combust transport. And lastly, what are the risks of having AI? Now, there are many risks that come with it, and they're categorized into many different types. The first one is performance risks. There is risk of errors within the programmability of AI. There's also a risk of bias based on the person who programs the AI. Moving on to security risks, there could be cyber intrusion risks, which means hacking. And there could also be open software risks. Third one, control risks. Risks of AI going rogue, which means AI developing a mind of its own or being deprogrammed to do something else that it's not supposed to. And its inability to control malevolent AI. 4, the ethical risks. AI at the end of the day are robotized and programmed. They don't feel emotion, so they have lack of values. They also have a value alignment risk, and they don't have a certain goal, and they're just doing what they're being told. Moving on to economic risks. Having AI and machines could decrease jobs and have people fired from their jobs all around the world. They're also a liability, and they could also decrease reputation. And moving on to the final risk, societal risks. There's a risk of autonomous weapon proliferations and risk of intelligence divide. Thank you very much for listening to my case study presentation, and I hope to get some good feedback. Thank you very much.